What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spotlight by CG Ruthless, man. Let's welcome my special guest from a small college down Oakland, which is Lincoln University, California. Punter, Owen Meister, man. How's it going, bro? Did I say your last
Doing
name
well.
right?
It is Meister.
Meister, okay. Well, I kind of butchered a little bit, I'm gonna be honest, but all good, man.
No worries.
But all BS aside, man, I think I had a place kicker a couple years ago, but I think you're probably the first one in a couple of years that I got a place kicker on the show.
Yeah, no, specialists, man, we're a big part of the game that, most people overlook, but, it changes games and it wins games. So, in my eyes, it's a big part.
Yeah, for those people who are not too familiar with you, man, tell me about yourself.
So, I'm Owen Meister. I'm originally from Rutherford, New Jersey. I went to a Division III school out of high school, Stevenson University in Baltimore, Maryland. I then transferred over to Lincoln. I went to college originally as a receiver, and then later found punting as something, I kind of took off with. And originally going to college, I was a receiver, like I said. So a lot of people, think, oh, I want to be in the spotlight. I want to be a quarterback. I want to be a running back. I want to be a receiver. I was the same way until I went into the transfer portal and saw the opportunities at punting. And I had a little bit of experience punting in high school, a little bit of the Tom Brady style punt. And so when I transferred over into Lincoln University and I started punting, that's where I really took off in my career. I opened a lot of doors for myself. I met a lot of people. I spoke to Eddie George, NFL Hall of Famer, Marshawn Lynch, Marcus Peters, Josh Johnson, a few of the guys I met out here just being in Oakland and kind of just being around football. I coach here also. I'm a high school special teams coach, and the head coach of the team I coach at is actually Marshawn Lynch's cousin. So I am pretty involved in the football community out here in Oakland. And yeah, that's pretty much about me. I'm all football and school. That's all it is.
Yeah, at least your background was wide receiver, but you made that switch to that position. So what was the adjustment like just from being a place kicker after that?
So from going from receiver to being a kicker / punter it was way easier, I would say, in the learning aspect. I didn't have to learn the plays. I didn't have to learn routes. I didn't have to understand defensive schemes. It was just, go out there and kick the ball as far as you can and, just make sure you cover and don't let anyone pass you. So it was a little bit easier on the mental aspect. For me, I started as a sophomore in high school on a state championship team, so I was playing a pivotal role. And to go from playing 140 snaps to maybe 6 a game was very different for me. I wasn't used to that. But, over the 3-year span that I've been punting, I understand the beauty of the limited reps. You got to make the most of what you get. So it's like you got to have the best product out there at all times. And I appreciate that part because, I always tell people, you make one mistake as a receiver and you have 120 plays to make up for it. I make one mistake as a punter. I only have 3 or 4 opportunities to really make up for it. They're going to remember that mistake forever.
Yeah.
So when people say like punting's easy or it's the easiest part of the game, like
no, it's not.
It's not. Yeah. It
comes with perfecting the kicks and the distance and all that stuff too, and the way you kick it. So it's not like as easy as these so-called fans would think.
Yeah. No, a lot of people always tell me, oh, you're a kicker. That must be easy. Or, oh, what position do you play? Oh, you're a kicker. Like, man, that's nothing. Like, no, like a lot of the games depend on 3 points, flipping the field, and starting off with good field position. So,
yeah,
I always try to tell people and younger kids even that, special teams will get you on the field no matter what level you're playing at. if you're playing middle school, if you're playing high school, if you're playing professional, special teams will be you're in, even if you aren't maybe in the first three at receiver. You might be a gunner on punt. You might be a headhunter on kickoff. You might be a coverage guy on punt return. So, you're still going to get an opportunity. And I try to stress that to a lot of my players that I coach and a lot of the people that I just talk to educate about special teams and kicking and punting.
Yeah, it must be that interesting to still be doing both things at the same time, but you're still kind of pursuing the NFL dream. So it's got to be very remarkable, right?
It is a grind, and it's beautiful. And I found, at the beginning of it, I was kind of discouraged, and I'm coming from a small school, don't have a lot of spotlight or whatever you may need to get into those positions, but I'm just keeping my head down and just doing what I do and trying to keep doing it the best I can. And
Absolutely, man. Like, I mean, those opportunities are like coming from a small school, but you going from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, that has to be like the different transition, right? The difference. So you grew up in New Jersey and where the Giants actually play at that stadium, or the Jets, but you go from not too far from the 49ers, which is Oakland, which is right probably 45 minutes down there or something like that.
Yeah, so I grew up a Giants fan. Love the Giants. Shit, Brandon Jacobs was the running back when I was watching them. Eli Manning, Tom Coughlin, all of them. Transitioning from the East Coast to the West Coast, it was different. I could tell you the energy around football is different. It's a little bit. This is a little bit of a controversial topic, but some say Pennsylvania, Texas, California, Florida, and they always leave out New Jersey in the top football states. But if you look in the NFL now, I could name you probably 25 starting players that are from New Jersey. So it's a small state, but we have a lot of quality football players.
Yeah. I mean, they do got the Giants and the Jets, even though supposedly they're supposed to be in New Jersey, but they're still considered the New York team. So it's like it's kind of like it's not far off from the bridge from the looks of it. So who do you model your punting game to, and who do you take notes from as far as like a punter that you learn from?
So since I'm new to this special teams thing, I am not really keen to a lot of the punters, but I try to emulate. I think it's Ethan Evans from the Rams, or
Okay.
yeah, the Chargers. He went to a small D2 school in North Carolina, and he got his opportunity, and I've looked up to him over the past couple of years, and then I also trained with John Carney, who is a 23-year NFL veteran. So I work closely with him, and he puts me in a position to meet a lot of players that are kicking currently in the NFL. This past summer, I trained with a few guys that were one guy played in the CFL. He was a giant. He was a kicker. Can't remember his name. Audric Rojas.
Oh, you mean the place kicker, the guy who had a strong leg, right? The kicker?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I trained with him this offseason with Coach Carney in San Diego. And so.
Oh, okay. Rosas was the guy from, I think he was from Western Oregon, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, Western or Southern Oregon, one of the two.
One of those schools, yeah. I know it was one of the Oregon schools. I think I know what kicker you're talking about. He has a strong leg, but I think he's kind of been at the lead.
Yeah, he was on the Jaguars and the Giants for a little bit. That was, especially for me, it was like a total 360 moment. I used to watch him down in the Meadowlands, and then now I'm on the field standing right next to him training in San Diego with Coach Carney. So it was a very cool moment for me especially as a kicker.
Yeah. It has to be like surreal just for you to be a kid watching the Giants. Now you finally get the chance to at least play the game that you love watching. So what really got you into football in the early part, man?
So my dad and my older brother, both pretty much got me into football. I started playing football when I was 3 years old. I was the only 3-year-old on the 6-year-old flag football team. So I have about 20 years of football experience. And so growing up, I always watched my older brother. He was an offensive lineman. Big dude, had opportunities to play college football. Ended up breaking his neck. So I kind of, try to keep playing for, him in a way. Because I know, he had a career ahead of him, and, he motivated me throughout when I was high school, elementary school, all that. So he kind of set the standard and set the tone for what it needed to be. And I tried to follow it, and, I got here. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now.
I mean, at least your brother got you into it. At least your dad got you into it. So it's like, you said you played in a flag football league where it was like 6 years old, but you were playing at 3 years old. So
Yeah,
you were
so
one of those
I
kind of
started
like
when I
those
was
early peakers.
Yeah, I started when I was very young, and then in my city, we had a lot of success growing up. We were winning countless championships, and that championship pedigree kind of like made me fall in love with football. So,
Yeah, once you
winning.
get the hang of playing it, man, it's a drug, man. You don't want to get out of it.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, you must have played football. You must have been a starter, or you must have been one of the top guys your whole life." And to be honest, I didn't start on the starting roster until I was in 7th grade. So, everybody's path is different.
It's different paths. Some of them come as late bloomers, like even out of high school or just coming out of college with no football experience. It's weird.
Yeah, now that I was just gonna say that now today in football and college football and in the pros, you see people never have played a snap of football, but they sign a contract, and all praise to them, and wish them the best. It's something crazy now.
Yeah, they're doing the experiment. They're trying to see if they can translate it well. Like a lot of these rugby players, they're coming in with different purposes. Like there's even one that plays offensive line for the Eagles. He was mostly a rugby player, if I'm mistaken. Jordan Malata.
Yeah, I think I saw a few interviews of him over the playoffs / Super Bowl. Yeah, no, I spoke to actually. I think he is the head of the North American like rugby, the NRL. He like does the United States portion of it. I spoke to him a little bit. I'm open to any venture professionally. So not only football, but I am looking into rugby as well. As a kicker, it's a pivotal role in rugby. So to have somebody that has played football at the Division I level, kicking, and also playing, sometimes I had to make a few tackles. So, I opened a lot of eyes in the rugby world with that side of football. So yeah, I'm excited to see where, like you said, how it transitions both ways, both into rugby and into football.
There's different transitions. I mean, the game has changed over the years for some athletes. Even for some guys who don't have that much experience and become very good players, Antonio Gates. I don't think he played college ball. I think he was mostly a basketball player coming out of Kent State.
But that's just another true athlete, just
that translated pretty well with the rebound skills and all that stuff, so
he tried. I feel like you said, like, there's certain sports where it does translate very well, and then there's also, like, for me, I feel like the big man in basketball doesn't really translate well to football because they're a little bit on the slower side.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of big men come out to be like tight ends and whatnot in college. They just try to, maybe just give a little tryout. But I do appreciate the transition from all the other sports like basketball, lacrosse, whether it be soccer. Like a lot for me exactly is soccer players. A lot of kickers in college.
Type of distance when it comes, like most kickers, if you got that soccer background, you got at least a strong leg from a distance from the looks of it.
Right. So for me, a lot of people think like, oh, I've never played soccer in my life. So
I mean, not everybody has to play soccer, but if you have that natural leg, then why does it matter if they play soccer or not? I mean, if you got the natural ability, like I can tell maybe there's somebody who played kickball and they never did soccer or nothing, but they had the ability to kick it from a distance.
yeah, and I think it's the Cowboys kicker, Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, Brandon Aubrey, but wasn't he like I think he was a soccer player if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, he was a professional soccer player that transitioned over into kicking, and that's like I feel like a lot. There's a lot of opportunity in that aspect. Um, like I said, for me specifically from kicking, aside from everything else, soccer players are soccer players and Australians are taking over the kicking and punting world in college and professional.
I mean, soccer players, like as far as like the legs and all that, like if you need a kicker with some good distance or something, like usually those guys with soccer background have that distance and they have that little routine where it works in their favor.
Right. It isn't as some call orthodox, but it works for them.
Yeah, it's kind of been a thing for quite a while too. Even like before our time or something, it would always be a traditional kicker. But if you had soccer background, it actually kind of makes it a smooth transition for some of them. But so what's like your backup plan? You know, like major in college and all that stuff.
So I'm studying business administration, and I also am studying entrepreneurship. So I plan to open up my own business. If football doesn't work out, just I could fall back on my degree. I have a 3.6 GPA right now, so I'm very good in the business aspect of academics and whatnot. So, I plan on starting a business. I have a little bit of experience with startups. I started my own clothing line, and then I also started a vintage sneaker and clothing resale. And just trying to, I'm I'm open to any aspect of business, so I'm willing to make anything work.
Yeah, I mean
Very open
anything that
minded.
get you ahead of the game a little bit. I mean, at least you're kind of thinking ahead of your career. You know, you never know.
Right. My dad always told me you can't put all your eggs in one basket, and
Yep.
so and he tells me every day. I talk to my dad every day, and he tells me, football isn't gonna last forever. I want you to know that, and he tells me that every day as soon as we're about to hang up.
Gotta have a backup plan, man. You gotta make sure the backup plan's always your successful plan. You know, you never know, but your dad's is the right guy about it. Like you never know.
Right. Yeah. And at times I see myself putting all my effort into football, and I tell him, I'm like, well, this is what I want, so I'm going to put all my effort into it. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you no, but just remember that football isn't going to be forever. And so,
Yep.
I kind of always have that in my head, and I always understand that. And I'm ready for anything at this point.
Yeah. Like your position isn't quite. It can be sustainable, but sometimes those bad kicks here and there, you're out of the job. That's the crazy part. Like there's the pros and cons. Like you can be a good kicker for many years, but at some point, if you have bad kicks, man, they're just
Yeah,
one
you're
bad kick away from being gone.
right. And then if this past season there was a lot like of pickups and signings and cuts and injury reserve, and you'll see four kickers kick for one team in a season.
Yeah, it's
So
because of the it's like the unfortunate injuries. Like even for the kicker, like maybe he pull a hamstring or the tackle where he kind of hurts his shoulder or something or gets concussion. You never know. It's just one of those situations that just like I think last year the Niners actually had the worst luck when it came to the kicker, and special teams was the worst luck. But you saw that Moody was injured for part of that season. Then the other kicker was hurt too, and then the other one was kind of like he did okay, and then he eventually just. But that's what happens, man. It's kind of like special teams can really affect a lot of the outcomes that people don't even realize. Like I feel like people kind of overlook special teams. Why do you feel like nobody takes it seriously?
I feel like a lot of people think of it because, it has such a limited, screen time or play time in the game. They think it's like, okay, yeah, 4 plays, they don't really add up. But if you go back into a 26-23 loss and you go back and you do the math, and there's 3 times where you could have punt to flip the field to stop them from scoring, or there was a time where you could have taken a field goal instead of going for it. You could have tied the game. You could have, and even if you think they score and kick a field goal or kick a PAT rather, you're up by 1 point. That's all the special teams plays. And if you see the outcome, if you kick that extra point and you score that touchdown, that's a win. If you score the touchdown, yeah, it is a win, but the kicker seals the deal. Like that one extra point really puts it over to where it's unobtainable for the other team. And so for me, that's what I try to, like I was telling you before, I try to like emphasize how important, special teams are. And for the younger college guys out there, if you want time on the field, find your place on special teams.
Yep.
That's all I could say.
Yeah. Because it kind of showcases your limited time on the field when you play that role. They can find different ways how to put you on the field also. So it's like, okay, this guy's a gunner. He's good. Can we put him on defense or can we put him over here?
Right. You got to just show that relentless will to just be out there and just be willing to succeed at any cost. So I even stress that to my teammates, during the season, because at Lincoln, like I said, we're a small school. So we kind of have our special teams unit is some of our starting players. So I try to emphasize, I'm like, yes, you guys need a break. I get that. But this is very important to the outcome of the game. So, I need that 30 seconds of push through the kick, through the return, everything, through the whistle. And then you guys could go sit on the side while the defense and, take your break. And I try to emphasize that to everybody because it's just as punting, kicking, everything is just as important as carrying the ball.
Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like that's the one thing that could be that it can determine the outcome. Like, okay, like you saw what happened the last other Super Bowl, right? That could have been factor right there. If Niners would have been really well on special teams, I think they would have won the game because there was like some muff on the special teams. There was a missed extra point. There was a lot of factors that could have went in our favor, but last season, if Niners would have had their special teams the right way, they would have actually made the playoffs. I mean, we're talking about like the field goal, the special team plays, man. That's what killed us all season. And I feel like that doesn't get enough recognition. I feel like special teams is something that you really do got to take serious at times.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like there's a lot of college coaches and professional coaches that leave a lot of points out there on Sundays and Saturdays, by not utilizing the field goal unit. And I even think there was a college coach maybe a few years back that didn't kick field goals and didn't punt.
So he must have just like practiced or did something that had natural skills or something.
No, they just didn't. They didn't have any special teams. They went for it every time.
Oh, one of those tryout kind of guys that says, "Oh, let me just do it."
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I don't know what it was, but the coach did not believe in kicking. He didn't believe in punting. He didn't believe in field goal.
Oh, you're talking about that one coach, that one high school coach, right? Where he just he goes for it, and it's like risk taking. He don't believe in his kickers. Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about because he really goes for it all 4 downs. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he'll go for it back 30. It doesn't matter. He didn't care. He didn't believe. And then I saw that go viral, and that kind of like. I'm like, man, this guy's leaving points out there. He's leaving wins out there. He's just for his own like pride's sake, I guess. But that's the one point where I was like, okay, yeah, this was before I became a kicker. I'm like, special teams is really important.
Yeah, especially it is like I guess going from Lincoln, California University, at least you kind of like showcase what your talent is. But what's your nickname as a kicker?
I got a few, but some call me McLovin. I don't know why. They think I look like the guy from I forget what that movie is called.
Superbad?
Yeah, Superbad. They say I look like him because I always wear my glasses when we travel. So they always tell me I look like McLovin.
I can see a little bit of that guy that plays the McLovin guy, but in a way, maybe I see more of you know that one guy, Honey, We Shrunk the Kids or something. You're kind of like that one dude that plays Spaceballs.
Oh,
You know, Scott, I'm talking about that old actor. I forget his name, but he was playing the Little Giants also.
yeah, I remember. That's what I was gonna say. I remember it from the Little Giants.
Yeah, that was that one actor who was the Giants one. But yeah, you kind of have resemblance of that guy's name. I forget his name, but he's a good actor.
Yeah, no, everybody says McLovin, and then the classic nickname throughout college football, the kicker. I
Or
don't have
McKicker,
the kicker.
but at least from your aspect, at least you acknowledge and appreciate the position. I mean, I feel like people just don't take it really seriously, you know. So like, but I guess for other stuff, okay. So I guess for a cheap meal, if you were just stuck in the middle of nowhere, McDonald's or Burger King, what would you choose, man?
I'm going with McDonald's.
Oh, you're loving it. Okay,
Yeah,
McLoving it.
I do love. I like a Big Mac.
Big
Um,
Mac. I like the sausage McMuffin, the nuggets. You can't go wrong with those. I mean, yeah, you know, it's just like different kind of stuff. So as far as like a go-to place when it comes to a budget, like Walmart or Target, if you had to choose. Oh yeah, that guy, that dude. There you go. That was the one I was thinking of. I don't
Rick
know if you remember
Moranis.
that actor, but that's what he looks like. Rick.
Yes, I'm a. I would say I would prefer Target. I like Target.
Yeah, like
They got my favorite water. One of the only stores that sells it loosely, so I do enjoy it.
okay. As far as like video games, Xbox or PlayStation.
I've been an Xbox guy my whole life.
Oh, dude, I love Xbox. I can't even think of it other way of better games like that. So, as far as like a soda, like Coke or Pepsi, what would you choose?
I'm a Coke guy, big Coke guy. I think Pepsi's a little bit too sweet. Coke always crispy, especially from McDonald's, and same with the Sprite.
Oh yeah, I mean, but if okay, so if you had a meal with a celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, probably Muhammad Ali.
Ooh, what would you get out of that experience with Muhammad Ali?
I would try to pick his brain for about his grind to the top, really, because he didn't start off as the best. He didn't start off as number one, and he solidified his career at the end as one of the greats. So I would kind of just pick apart his work ethic and see how he got there, and try to apply it directly to football. Though boxing and football are very different, I feel like there's a lot of lessons and experiences that he learned along the way that could directly apply to football.
Yeah, I think he would have gave you a lot of pointers, like sting like a bee or something.
Staying calm, staying confident. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So I guess what is your favorite dinosaur?
Man, I never got to that. I never thought about that actually.
Yeah, I would never deal with it myself too. But okay, let's get on to the common sense and all the other stuff on the football field. So, how do you deal with a quitter on your guys' team? Like, let's say under the circumstances, you guys have a chance to win. How do you deal with a quitter?
I feel like in all college football teams, it's the same response. It's going to be next man up, and that's kind of what all college coaches try to preach is you got to always stay ready and be the next man up. You might not be number one, but you got to remember the starter only starts the game. You don't finish it always. You could get 60 snaps. You could out of the 120. You might not start the game, but you'll still get the same amount of snaps as the starter.
Yeah, you got an important role with the team, of course, but regardless, you still gotta go with the next man up and play with something to play for. Okay, why did you choose number 47?
So, I actually 47 was appointed to me. I wore 85 my first year here at Lincoln, and then my second year here we had a super surge in players. We had like over 150 players on the roster, and to make sure that skills players all had the proper numbers. I had to give 85 up to a tight end, and 47 was one of the last options, and I kind of just picked it up. It didn't matter the number for me. I just kind of
Make the most out of it.
right. Yeah. That stuff is minimal. As long as I'm out there playing, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, for sure. So how do you deal with some altercation with teammates on the sidelines? Let's say they're not on the same page and they're just having an emotional moment. How do you deal with that situation?
So I'm actually like the moderator for the whole team. You know, as most college football teams, it's a defense offense fight all week, and then Saturday we're best friends. So I'm the cross between both, and so I'm there, supporting both sides of the ball, making sure everybody's good. And whenever there's any turmoil, I always go up and try to diffuse the situation. I was the team captain last season, and so a lot of the younger guys would, look up to me and talk to me privately. And I was just, I would be there for everybody. It didn't matter what side of the ball you were on. I was just trying to make sure that the team was civil and everybody was, cordial. And we all have the same goal at the end of the day. So there's no reason to fight on the sideline.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As far as that, so let's say you guys are down by multiple touchdowns going to halftime. What would be the pep talk or the speech to get this team to come from behind and win a ball game, man?
I preach that football is played in two halves. When halftime hits, the score is still 0-0. The first half happened, but it's time to get it back in the second half. I've been in games where I was down 31 points and came back to win. I've been in games up 31 points and I've, just squeaked to win by 1 point. So I've been in both positions of winning and losing. So, I try to keep that energy positive and try to just let everybody know it's like we still got another 30 minutes left of football. And you can still put the same amount of points up. We might have to go into overtime. We might have to keep pushing, but it's still hope. It's still an opportunity. It's 0-0, and it's a new opportunity when the clock strikes 15.
Absolutely, man. There's still plenty games. I mean, there's still plenty quarters left, and you still have a chance to win and all that. So as far as like NFL teams, what teams have you met with? I mean, like you said, I don't know, bro. I gotta see. I mean, they gotta at least take interest of somebody that kicks the ball, right?
I haven't spoken to any NFL teams yet. I was hoping to get a Giants pro day because I went to school in New Jersey, just less than 10 miles away from the training facility. But I have no representation as far as an agent, so I wasn't able to really break into that realm of the NFL yet. I was kind of just hoping for a chance. And last season, the 49ers scout came out to our school to scout one of our defensive backs, Amir Reeb. And, I was hoping that same thing would happen again this year and it would hopefully lead into something. But we had other teams watching the pro day. We didn't have anybody in attendance, but we had the film sent out to a few teams. I wasn't actually participating in the pro day, but I was able to kick for Darius Maxwell, one of the prospects of this year's draft. So,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to get a lot of interest when it comes to the position, but I get it, man. Like, I feel like you just need an opportunity to showcase it, and you'll show that you kind of belong in the league with those kind of emphasis. So, how much emphasis placed on special teams, and what are your expectations for you as a punter?
As a punter and special teams, I just want to, bring the same energy that, the quarterback does to the offense. And I want to, as far as personal goals, obviously I had a 40-yard average last season over 52 punts. I'm trying to still improve on that. It was a big sample size to keep the average, but, I kind of want to grow on that and build from there. I feel like my stats of last year in the special teams shows my dedication to punting. I went from a 40-yard average the year before, and I kept the same average in the second year. So I was able to stay consistent in my processes. And yeah, that's what I just throughout special teams and everything for myself. I just want to stay consistent throughout the process.
So, what's the routine for you as a kicker? Because I know for certain kickers, they have a certain routine that would work in their favor if they do it this way.
So yeah, I have like a whole warm up routine. I have to be at the field like an hour and a half before the game, at least. Um, Coach Carney gave me a whole rundown on like a good pregame routine and what he would do when he was in the NFL for the Saints. So I start by walking the field in my with my headset on or headphones, and I just look at the field conditions, grass, if there's divots, if there's holes, if there's any weird spots, or for PAT, I would make sure that there's no like dud spots within like my plant foot. I would just walk through the field again, and then after I did the whole 100 yards, that's when I would start my jog and do my whole warm up routine. And I have a whole playlist that is the duration of my warm up, so I kind of like know when I'm ready, when I start, and when to finish, and it's the same every time. I got like a sock superstition, so I wear washed, but I wear the same socks every game. And same thing with the cleats. I haven't switched the model of cleats since I started punting, so it's like a little bit of a weird thing I have.
It's something that works in your favor. So even if it's weird to some people, it's got to be something favorable for you. So what kind of style of kick do you prefer doing, and what do you feel like as your expectation for being a consistent kicker?
So for me, I feel like my consistency would be greater in punting, because I've put so much time into punting. I haven't really been a kicker. I kicked off here at Lincoln a few times. I did a couple PAT operations, and I held a lot. There was actually some packages where I was just like a wildcat quarterback and threw the balls to receivers and fake punts and whatnot. So I'm versatile in that aspect. But just yeah, kicking in general for me, I just I don't know how to describe it. It's just something I didn't love at the beginning, but now it's like I
It
found the
becomes a
beauty.
habit that you have to love it, man.
Yeah, like I found the beauty within the process, like the trials, the errors, all that kind of stuff. I at first get really discouraged, but now it's part of the game, and I just try to learn from every little experience that I have, even if it's training by myself or out on the field.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, how do you prepare for your upcoming games, and how do you study on your craft? As far as kicking game and all that stuff.
So I have a little bit of a quarterback background. I played quarterback in high school. So when I'm watching film for punt block or punt return against us, I just I look at the edge guys. I make sure I can see their tendencies, if they come upfield, if they cut inside, if they go wide, or how they're trying to attack the block point. Are they even rushing? Are they dropping back? Are they blocking? So for me, the big thing is the D line and the linebackers. That's like who I study all week, and then come Thursday, Friday, I will hone in more on the scheme of our punt. Now that I know what we are going, like now that I'm prepared to know what we're going against. So I probably watch the most film out of any punter in the country. Like whether it be on myself or opponents, I'm always studying. There's always something to learn. There's always something that's going to be out there on the film that's going to tell me something to make me succeed. So I'm always watching it.
Yeah, for sure. So one last question here: does the moment feel surreal or business as usual to you?
It is business as usual. It's just another day. I'm beyond blessed to be in this position, to be where I am today. But at the end of the day, you can't make the moment too big. I got to just stay where my feet are and just stay positive and stay persistent, and keep that goal in the right in center view and just keep my blinders on and only keep the goal at mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. But hey, man, definitely appreciate your time, bro. I know that the process is worth it, man. All those years of hard work that you put into college, man, it's gonna pay off. Whatever happens in your journey, man, I'm definitely rooting for you, man, to succeed. I hope that you have a long NFL career or at least a successful in life, whatever you have in mind, man. So for those people that want to reach out to you or look for your social media platform, man, tell them where they can find you.
So on Instagram, I'm at Omeister1K, Omeister1K. And then on Twitter, I'm or X, sorry, I'm at Owen Meister1, OwenMeister1.
Oh, yeah. Okay, one last thing, just to give good old grandizer something for you to look for. I guess since you guys don't have a fights on, do you have like something with pride when it comes to the Oaklanders?
Yes, we do. We have a little chant that we do before games. We say from the town, we're about to get this shit popping right now, and then we start chanting LU at the end.
Oh yeah, bro, absolutely, bro. But man, definitely looking forward to how your career goes, man. If somehow you end up in the Niners, bro, we're gonna have to
Man,
make a second
I'm
appearance.
praying I get over there with Jair Brown. He's a Jersey boy, so I would love,
Oh
play with
yeah,
him.
dude. I'm hoping that it comes out to the dream, bro. I like rooting for them underdogs, man. I like to see a lot of you guys succeed, man. At the end of the day.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate all that you do. It is amazing, and I just can't thank you enough.
Oh yeah, I'm more than thankful for those opportunities for a lot of you guys. But hey, man, for everybody else, this is Owen Meister, man, one of the best punters in the country as we speak, from a small college from Lincoln, California University, man. The Oaklanders, bro. He's from the town. He takes care of business, man. That's what's up, man. But hey,
Yes,
man,
sir.
thank you for
Down business, baby.
yeah, absolutely, bro. And for everybody else, man, thank you guys for tuning in.